So I'm happy to say that I have completely transformed my life from where I was a few years ago to where I am now. Hi everyone, I hope you are keeping safe and well. You don't have to look very far at the moment to find anxiety is a big theme attached to the current events. And anxiety for me in the past has caused some really interesting health challenges. I recognised at the time that I was in a cycle of having anxious thoughts, which then triggered my physical emergency response, aka fight or flight mode, which is useful if you're running away from a monster or if your life is in danger. It's not useful for the duration of completing a tax return or worrying weeks on end about money or getting a job. Panic or picnic? Years ago, I think it was my first year of university, we were in a shopping centre and I felt very fearful and anxious and then began having a panic attack. I actually crouched on the floor in the shopping centre and my sister got down to my level and I said I was really panicking and feeling really fearful and I started hyperventilating a bit, and my sister was just so calm and she just said, I know you're panicking right now. Sometimes when I panic, it reminds me of the word picnic. And it was as simple as that. And she distracted me from thinking about the panic to actually thinking about the loveliness of enjoying a picnic and all the connotations with that. So sunshine, friends, bit of Prosecco, some sandwiches, all the nice things you can enjoy about a picnic. And that was so powerful for me to learn that I could, if I could distract myself, it's kind of like having a lifeline, throwing an anchor out of the situation, pulling yourself out into a happier thought, which seems so simple, and it really is simple, but it was so powerful for me, and it's something I've been up and down with panic attacks sometimes. They've felt impossible to get out of, but the more I distracted myself, the more I was reshaping my brain to be able to do that. And so if you feel a sudden overwhelm or panic, I would highly recommend distracting yourself, and maybe it won't work the first time you do it, and that's okay. Each time you have those intense feelings, try distracting yourself. What do you want versus what do you not want? I've learned language is so important for your mental health because your brain is listening. Something that I've found myself saying is, I don't want to be anxious. When someone says, what do you want? I say, I don't want to be anxious. And that's not useful at all, because although there's good intentions behind it, all I'm doing is programming my brain to focus on anxiety, which is causing a chemical response to focus on being anxious. Whereas if you flip it and say, I want to be calm and chilled out and joyful, then you're using language that your brain associates, you know, those happy, calm connotations, and again will have a chemical response to it. So just restructure your language so that you are focusing on the things you want, not the things you don't want. So one of my favourite poets, Shane Koizan, he has a poem called Instructions for a Bad Day, and in that he just, there's this amazing sentence that has always stuck with me. He says, love and hate are beasts, and the one that grows is the one you feed. And I think that's the same with thought patterns. In the past years, I've started to view my thoughts as currency. What do I want to spend my thoughts on? And what do I want from my brain in that exchange? Do I want to spend them on being happy and joyful and calm and relaxed and chilled? And in exchange for spending those thoughts, my brain will give me those feelings. So view your thoughts as currency. What do you want to spend them on, and what do you want from your brain in exchange? What do you like to magnify? There's a beautiful Bible verse that says, "Oh, magnify the Lord with me." If you look through a magnifying glass, you are able to see more of what you're looking at. So the more I would focus on God, the very definition of love, peace, kindness, goodness, the more I will see of it, the more I'll be able to enjoy it, think about it, and program my brain to look for the amazing things that are there, because a lot of the time we do program our brains to either look for the negative stuff around us or the positive stuff around us. So some final thoughts. If you've been feeling a tad overwhelmed by every single mailing list you've ever been subscribed to, informing you how uncertain these times are, as if you didn't already know about it. This might not be reassuring for anyone else, but this is what's reassuring for me, is times have always been uncertain. We have never known and will never know what will happen from one moment to the next. So if you've enjoyed any of life so far, you've managed to enjoy it during an uncertain time, because time is always uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen. And that's the same with good and bad things. So a lot of the time we only really have the strength to deal with a tough situation when it actually comes. Joyce Meyer puts it amazingly. She says, worry is a down payment for a problem you may never happen. And that's just been so powerful for me. Why waste your time worrying? Because it might never happen, and you would have already paid for it with what you've done to your body with those thoughts. So you might as well enjoy your life and stop trying to predict the future. A couple of practical points. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the news, firstly, I would just say challenge yourself with how much you want to consume of the media, because it's become very theatrical. They use so much drama. Even the theme tune at the beginning is so dramatic. I ration myself with how much news I consume and take in, purely because I want to stay in touch with what's going on in the world, but I do think the content of what is being delivered and the way it's being delivered is so theatrical, and they add so much drama. And it's not to say that there aren't dramatic things happening in the world, but it's to say, if there's already sad and dramatic things, when it comes to journalism, why add so much theatre to it? I know that's the stuff that sells, and that's the other thing that frustrates me, is it's only bad news seems to be the news that sells. So I did this a few years ago. I was up worrying. I'd been consuming too much news, too much media, and again was in a cycle of anxiety. So I googled good news and found the Good News Network. And if I'm feeling a bit downcast about everything in the news, I like to look at the Good News Network, and they only report on good things. And yeah, so that's just something I would advise you to do, because it's something that just really cheers me up, to remind myself that good news is worth reporting, good news is worth celebrating, and good news is worth thinking about and telling people about. So yeah, if you're consuming too much bad news, go to the Good News Network, have a look at that. The other thing is, I mentioned the lightning process before, which is a course I did a few years ago. First of all, I read Phil Parker, who's the neuroscientist who designed the lightning process. I read his book, which is called Get the Life You Love Now, and it was just so powerful for me. I was able to make changes in my life from that book alone, and then I did the course. I cannot describe how amazing it was. I just want everybody in the world to do it, because it is so good for you, and so many people have been able to turn their lives around from pretty negative situations and difficult medical conditions to living really happy, healthy lives. I listen to the Caroline Leaf podcast. She's also a neuroscientist, and she talks about a lot of mental health stuff and the science with the brain and what's going on chemically in our brain. So I just find it really useful, and it's always really positive for me to listen to. So those are just a few things I do to keep myself focused on some good things. So I hope it helps. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, leave a comment about how you overcome anxiety and how you chill out. And finally, please don't forget to subscribe. I would love that.